If you've been studying figure drawing for a while, you've probably heard the recommendation to also study anatomy. And even though I'd be the last person to tell you not to do that, I also want to put a pause in it and think about what is it actually that studying anatomy is supposed to do for our figure drawing. So in this video, I want to talk about 5 mistakes it's easy to slip into when studying anatomy so we can avoid them and actually study anatomy in a way where it's beneficial to our figure drawings and to other drawings as well. If you're excited for this lesson, be so kind and give it a thumbs up so other artists like you can find it in the algorithm as well. If we haven't met yet, my name is Carolin and I help artists who feel like frauds at times because they haven't reached that technical know-how and that expressive know-how that I've always hoped to one day reach. I help them get there by fully mastering drawing once and for all so you can explore that sense of freedom and expressive joy that comes with that place. So if that sounds like you, stick around, subscribe. I'd love to have you in my inner circle of friends. With that, let's get into this lesson. One of the first mistakes that we make when we study anatomy is that we disconnect it from a personally meaningful why. So for example, we'll dive into studying anatomy and we get into all the charts and all the bones and memorizing all the names, but before you know it, we just study for studying's sake. And it's important to remember what studying anatomy is for. It's for detail acquisition. The more details you can retain about the subject matter of your choice, so if it's trees, you want to understand that the silhouette of a willow tree is different from the silhouette of an oak tree, that the texture of a willow tree bark is different from the texture of an oak tree bark. But if figures are your main subject matter, then you will need to acquire as much insight about the details visible on their bodies. Now, of course, this is why you do the deep dive, right? This is why you study all the bones and all the muscles, etc. And at the same time, I want you to not separate the study from your artwork. What exciting image do you have in your mind that requires you to deep dive into the anatomy of different zones of the body? So let me give you an example. So when I work personally, my ideas are usually generated on these flimsy pieces of paper where I just come up with kind of poses that seem interesting and fun to me, and I don't have yet an idea of where it is I want to take them. They're just like jotted down in a very clumsy way. But let's say one of these things sparks something in me where I really want to work with it further. I would then take this initial spark, put it onto a slightly larger piece of paper, and then think about what zones of this idea that I have will require me to be really specific about the details. So in this example here, I was really going to need to understand the anatomy of the arm. I like to work with awkward poses that are almost not possible, but I want to find this balance between this seems awkward and strange, but yet feasible. So once I have this kind of figured out, I kind of understand this is the crux of the pose for me here, I would then go ahead and create drawings like this. So these very classically anatomy study type drawings where I understand the forms and the bulk of the muscle positioning, and I would investigate how the bones interact in the pose that I have in mind, as well as how the muscles would interact with each other, in particular in the pose that I have in mind. Now, these are just studies for something separate, but this is the type of drawing I would create, and I will show you how to do these later on in this video, so stay tuned about that. But once I have this grasp of this is what the muscles and the bones do in this strange, awkward pose that I'm so inspired to create, I will then retain this information and then put it back into the final piece. And then I've gone full circle from something that's inspiring to me that I really want to create and put out into the world while also studying anatomy. So try not to separate studying anatomy completely from your creative undertaking. So you want to link those two because it'll pull you forward in those moments when things get really complicated, and you will see it'll get complicated really quickly. But at least like that, you'll be studying from a place of curiosity and necessity and inspiration instead of from a place of drudgery and, oh, I have to do this, which to me is a much better place to be in. Let's talk about the second mistake. The second mistake is thinking that the small shapes are the important parts when studying anatomy. So for example, when we look at studying the pelvis, it's easy to think that we have to draw like this, where we capture all the little knobs and bumps and crevices as we're studying the pelvis. But in fact, this is not how we want to approach our anatomy studies. So instead, when it comes to understanding what the skeletal structure is like, we want to understand how we can find it in its simplest ways, like as an ovoid, as an egg shape, as a circular shape with a surrounding cross contour, how we can find that in the figure. And then where there are key spots like this pubic symphysis or the aces points that I'm marking here, how they are located in the current pose that we're looking at, and how they might connect into that cutout in the front of the bowl of the pelvis here. So it's not about the little bumps and the alien shapes and memorizing those. It's about simplifying them into a useful model that we can easily find in any pose. And that can be a box-based model, or it can be a bowl-based model. There are quite a few variants that you can use, but the key is that you understand the simple underlying form, how it is oriented, and where on that form these key landmarks are located. So again, that pubic symphysis, that aces point, those are called landmarks, and they help us rotate our drawing relative to the viewer's eye. It helps the viewer understand how the pose is oriented relative to them. And the same is true when you're studying muscles. Let's say you're studying the leg, you want to understand the anatomy of that leg better. The first thing that you have to grasp are the simple underlying forms. So here you see me go through establishing the gesture, I'm establishing the simple box-like structure of the pelvis, I marked the landmark of the sacrum, and here now I'm starting to think about what is this simplified form of the leg, and I'm understanding that as a modified cylinder that is wider at the top and it's becoming more slender, narrower at the bottom. So yes, I do see that there are bumps merging with each other, but rather than diving into those smaller bumps around the knee zone, this is what I do first. Understanding where's the major plane change, where does the back of the leg become the side of the leg, and to what degree. Is this a very angular sort of a form? Is it rounded? That is my main interest at first. Now let's say I fully understand the underlying simple form. What do I do next to truly understand the full anatomy of the leg? And this leads us to mistake number 3. We do not want to get stuck on the surface of the figure. Instead, we want to cultivate an understanding of what is underneath the surface and behind any obstructing limbs or items. So we begin this awareness by studying every pose as if we can see the skeletal structure in its simplest form that I was introducing earlier on, where we use simple eggs and boxes with the corresponding landmarks like the spine, the base of the neck, the aces points, the cis dimples. So those are all words that you will eventually learn as you're diving into anatomy, because as you will soon find out, you're not expected to already know this stuff. You will do research to find those things out. But let's stay with this point for now. Rather than just drawing the surface of the skin, you would pretend like you can see the actual shoulder blade underneath and understand its positioning relative to the rib cage. Of course you can look through the body, but this is what you're challenging yourself to do. So it will encourage you to memorize landmarks. It will encourage you to seek them out because you'll use them like little treasure map indicators of where certain skeletal elements might be located. And then you go and construct those simpler forms around the skeleton. And if you wanted to, you could then layer some muscle studies on top of that. And what we don't want to do is just grabbing onto the outer surface and hoping that by us just drawing some lumps and bumps and some shading on top of it, that will help us retain the information of the anatomy. So if you're now thinking, Carolyn, you're nuts. How am I supposed to know where the shoulder blade is when I barely can make sense of all those lumps and bumps in that zone? Then here's what you do. Mistake number 4 is thinking that studying some charts of the body in the front and back and side position is going to be enough. No, instead you have to go full on nerd level. You have to have resources. You have to have anatomy books like this wonderful book by Valerie Winslow. You want to have Écorché Marquettes. You want to have a skeleton to reference. And if you don't have the means to purchase those things, maybe you can access a 3 program that will help you understand what the skeleton and what the muscles do in certain positions. My point being, any discipline that's worth its salt doesn't just go on assumptions, it does research. And studying anatomy is our equivalent as artists of research. So you want to go deep, you want to really support yourself with quality resources to fill your anatomical library, your understanding. Now, the benefit of studying with resource material next to you that you pause to look things up in is that it moves you away from just copying, which is a very passive activity. It's just you regurgitating somebody else's insights. It then switches you into becoming the interested, researching party yourself. And by finding the answers to your questions, what is this bump over here? What is this indentation over there? Let me look in my books. Let me see if I can piece this together for myself. It's active and engaged. And so your research will then lead to solidifying, ingraining these answers into your memory much more solidly than by you just copying somebody else's answers. Now let me bring a little bit more nuance to this. When you study anatomy, there are kind of 2 types of drawings that you can do to strengthen your understanding of anatomy. Number 1 are drawings done to memorize certain zones of the body. And for that, it's actually okay to copy somebody else's drawing. So you would get let's say a Michael Hampton book, and you'd copy his drawings into your sketchbook while also writing down the names or the muscles or the landmarks. So that is totally valid. But then you also want to couple that with drawings done for testing what you have memorized. And so for that, you want to take a live pose or a pose from a photograph and draw it as if you could see through the skin in the manner that I just demonstrated, where you begin with a skeleton, build the simple forms, and then the muscles on top. So you see, you can copy to memorize things, but you definitely want to pair that with testing yourself on actual poses, which again is what you've been seeing me do in this background video here. And this leads us already to the 5th mistake I want to alert you to. Don't look at anatomy drawings as products. Instead, see them as research. Your anatomical studies are part of the prep phase of the final project. So when you draw an exciting image, don't expect to create it all in one go. You want to bake research segments into the creation cycle, which points us back to point number 1, right? You don't need to have all of the anatomical information in your mind before you get started. It is perfectly acceptable to look things up. When we pause to research, to confirm our suspicions, to check our assumptions, we ensure that we'll proceed with our best understanding possible. And in fact, that's what the greats have done too. So I want you to picture real quickly a scientist's field notes. They're not going to be pretty, right? They're not going to be aesthetically pleasing, and neither need your research drawings be pretty. They're research field notes. They're going to be messy. So yes, today we do have an aesthetic appreciation of Leonardo da Vinci's anatomy sketches, or when we see masters like Will West and Glenn Wilpoo or Steve Houston draw their anatomy lessons, they're gorgeous. But even they started out with ugly drawings once they're figuring out anatomy. They've just landed at a rendering technique that's effective for studying anatomy. So, no more pressure for these to be masterpieces. Remember their purpose. Their purpose is to give you enough information to bring your project to the best point possible, so you can then get your focus and energy back to making images that are exciting and meaningful, and so you don't get stuck in the grunt work sort of frame of mind. So go ahead and annotate your sketches, color code them, cross things out, write little insights on the margins. They're for your personal use only. Leonardo da Vinci did not expect people to rip his sketchbook pages out and frame them and hang them on the wall. A scientist usually doesn't expect his field notes or her field notes to be taken out and then framed and put on the wall. So why do we need to put this pressure of having these gorgeous anatomy drawings for ourselves? In the beginning, take that pressure off your shoulders. So there you have it. By considering these 5 points, you're surely going to study anatomy in a way where it's actually beneficial for your creative expression. You're not going to get stuck in this hole of studying for studying's sake and you don't know exactly how you're going to get out of it. I hope this has been useful. Let me know in the comments below which one of these 5 points was new to you and is helping you move forward. And if you like this lesson and you kind of have this feeling of wanting more and wanting a mentor to guide you along your creative journey, I have an online mentor program where I help artists fully master drawing so they can freely express who it is they are as artists. I would love to talk to you about this. So in the description below, there's a link where you can sign up for a conversation with me, where we can find out if we are a fit to work together. And with that, I wish you well. See you next time in the next video.